The film opens on August 18, 1973, revealing that a graveyard in rural Texas has been destroyed. Several burial grounds were desecrated and bodies were exhumed and made into strange carvings. Sally Hardesty, Marilyn Burns, and her disabled, wheelchair-bound brother Franklin, Paul A. Pertain, worried that their grandfather's grave has been robbed, head to the scene with three friends: Sally's friend Jerry, Alan Danziger, best friend Pam, Terry McMinn, and Pam's friend Kirk, William Vale. Finding the grave intact, they decide to visit the old house farm, now abandoned. As they pass a slaughterhouse on the way, Franklin tells them that they used to kill cows with sledgehammers, but now they use air guns. Shortly after, they catch a lean, eccentric hitchhiker, Edwin Neal, acting strangely. The hitchhiker invited the group to his home for dinner. But after they all declined, he took a picture of Franklin with an instant camera and demanded $2 for it. When Franklin refuses, the man angrily rolls up the photo, sets it on fire, and cuts Franklin's hand with a pocket knife. The boys manage to throw Franklin out of the van, but he cuts him with a knife. He smeared blood on their van before they drove off. Running out of fuel, they stop at a gas station in the Gulf countryside, only to be told by the strange old man Jim Sherdow, who runs the gas station, that the tank is empty and waiting for a tank truck to come. When the old man learns that their destination is the old house of the Hardesty family, he advises the young people not to go there, as the people living in this area do not accept strangers. They buy the old man a barbecue sandwich and head to his parents' house. Finally arriving after a while Sally and Pam head off to search an abandoned house, Franklin's wheelchair makes it difficult for him to navigate the old house, and he's frustrated when the couple seem to be having fun. Franklin leads Pam and Kirk to an old swimming hole that used to be nearby, but they find it completely dry. Kirk hears a gas generator nearby and decides to find out where it is and replace it with gas. They follow the sound to discover a large farmhouse surrounded by numerous abandoned vehicles and partially covered by a large tarp. Kirk finds a human tooth on the porch and scares Pam. He knocks on the door, but there is no answer. As soon as he entered the house, a large, burly man, Gunnar Hansen, in a strange mask appeared and killed him with a sledgehammer. The man, known as Leatherface, because of his mask made of a human face, drags his remains into the back room. Kirk does not return, so Pam becomes restless and goes inside the house looking for Kirk. She wandered into a room full of human and animal bones. A live chicken hangs in a small birdcage. A strange carving of a human skull hangs from the ceiling. Furniture is decorated with human bones and skulls. The floor is covered with bone and feather fragments. Pam starts gagging and screaming at her as her Leatherface appears and lunges at her. She runs to the balcony, but the man catches her, kicks and screams, and takes her home, where he brutally hangs her on the back with a meat hook. While hanging there, she could see Leatherface dismembering Kirk's body with a chainsaw. Sally and the others return to the Hardesty family and begin to wonder why Pam and Kirk have not returned. As the sun sets, Jerry follows the general direction and comes upon her house. Lured by the sound of her gas generator, he notices a blanket Kirk left hanging on the porch and goes inside the house. When Jerry enters the kitchen, he finds Pam still alive, trapped in a large freezer, but he has convulsions and is near death. Leatherface appears, and she throws herself out of the freezer just as she kills Jerry with a sledgehammer. He forces Pam's body back into the freezer and locks it again. Leatherface is clearly upset by the frequent visits to the house by strangers. Dawn breaks and Jerry does not return, leaving Sally and Franklin to hunt him down. Jerry took the van keys with him when he left. Franklin refuses to wait in the van, insisting Sally push her wheelchair down a dirt road through the woods. Before reaching home, Leatherface attacks and kills Franklin by ramming him in the chest with a chainsaw. Sally ran away in terror, with Leatherface right behind her. She is injured while running over thorny undergrowth and finally reaches home. She doesn't know that the house belongs to her pursuers. Sally runs upstairs, and Leatherface peers through the front door and approaches her. In the upstairs bedroom, she found two desiccated figures, an old man and an old woman. The woman had long since died, but the old man was barely alive and terribly depleted. Leatherface cornered her upstairs, so she jumped out the window and ran out of the house again from behind Leatherface. When Sally arrives at the gas station, Leatherface disappears. The old man said he would take Sally and call for her help. And while the old man was gone, Sally noticed a chimney where a barbecue was being prepared. She looks at it with interest. When the old man returns, he suddenly attacks Sally, who tries to fight back with her kitchen knife. But the old man knocks the knife out of Sally's hands with a broom. The old man stuns Sally with a broom, cuts the string with a knife, ties her up, puts a bag over her head, and pushes her into a pickup truck. He drove her to her hideous home, picking up a hitchhiker who had come earlier in the day on her way. They all lived there with Leatherface. They tie Sally to a chair in her house and take the bag off her head. She and the hitchhiker recognize each other, and Sally screams in terror. The family tortures them all night, making them sit at a table while they eat what they presume to be human flesh. They bring down a dry old man. Grandpa cuts Sally's fingers open, put them in the old man's mouth, and suck Sally's blood. They tell Sally that Grandpa worked in a slaughterhouse and was the best with a sledgehammer. They decide to have her grandpa kill Sally and untie her. And she forces Sally to her knees and holds her head over the bucket while her grandpa tries to hit Sally weakly in the head several times with a hammer. The hitchhiker gets frustrated and grabs a hammer to finish her off, but suddenly Sally slips out. She threw herself out the window again and stepped out just as dusk was approaching. Hitchhiker and Leatherface come out of the house and chase Sally. A hitchhiker brandishes a knife, and Leatherface brandishes a chainsaw. The hitchhiker nearly caught her, grabbing her over and over again, grabbing her by the hair. A large articulated truck passes by and catches the hitchhiker off guard. A truck ran over him, and he died. The truck driver slows down to see what happened and exits the cicada only to find himself confronted by a screaming and bloodied Sally with Leatherface and a snarling chainsaw right behind him. He chased Sally and the truck driver to the other side of the taxi. But the driver threw a wrench at Sally and hit her in the side of the head. Leatherface drops the saw and falls, injuring his leg with the saw blade. The truck driver flees into the street, but an injured Sally is unable to catch up. A pickup truck drives by, and Sally jumps in the back of the truck and leaves the scene. Leatherface still pursues, but the pickup driver pulls away. Sally laughed maniacally at the fleeing Leatherface and giggled at the frustrated and angry chainsaw-wielding Leatherface in the middle of the road in the dawn light.